Have you ever felt like the internet is run by a few giant companies? You use their apps, you share your life on their platforms, and they hold all the keys. We were promised a world of connection, but it often feels like we are just visitors in someone else's digital kingdom. This is the problem of centralization, where a handful of powerful players control our online experiences, data, and even our digital identities. It's like playing on a playground owned by someone who can change the rules anytime they want. We've all felt it, that sense that we don't truly own our digital lives. Now, imagine a different kind of internet. An internet where you're not just a user, but an owner. A place where your data belongs to you and you alone. This is the grand vision of Web3, the next evolution of the World Wide Web. It promises to give the power back to the people using technologies like blockchain. But let's be honest, this new world has felt distant and complicated for most of us. It's like a VIP party that requires a special invitation and a secret handshake to get in. So, how do we make this dream accessible to everyone, not just tech experts? This is where a fascinating new contender enters the ring, the PINETWORK. It's a project that has been quietly growing, attracting millions of people around the globe with a very different approach. Instead of complex technology and high entry barriers, Pi focused on something simple: your smartphone. It proposes a world where anyone, anywhere, can participate in the blockchain revolution with just a few taps a day. Could this be the key we've been waiting for? Could Pi be the project that finally bridges the gap between the complex promise of Web3 and the everyday person? The question on everyone's mind is whether Pi can deliver on this incredible ambition. It has built a massive community, arguably the largest in the crypto space, before even fully launching its public network. This is completely backward compared to how other projects usually operate. They built the crowd first, hoping the technology will follow and create a vibrant economy. This strategy is bold, and it's risky. But if it works, Pi could fundamentally change how we think about digital currency and online ownership, turning the dream of a user-owned internet into a tangible reality for billions, not just a select few. So, what exactly is this Web3 we keep hearing about? Think of it as the internet's next chapter. If Web 1 was the read-only internet of simple websites, and Web 2 is the read-write internet of social media and user-generated content, then Web 3 is the read-write-own internet. The core idea is simple but revolutionary: decentralization. This means that instead of services being controlled by a single company like Google or Meta, they are built on open networks that no single entity owns. Power is distributed among all the users, like a digital cooperative where everyone has a say. The magic behind Web 3 is blockchain technology. You can think of a blockchain as a shared public notebook that is incredibly secure. Once something is written in it, it cannot be erased or changed. This technology is what makes things like cryptocurrencies possible, but its potential goes far beyond money. It allows for true digital ownership. On Web 3, when you buy a digital item, create a piece of art, or even just own your own data, your ownership is recorded on this unchangeable public ledger. It's yours, truly and verifiably, and you don't need a corporation's permission to use it, sell it, or move it. Today, the most well-known players in the Web3 space are platforms like Ethereum and Solana. Ethereum was the pioneer, introducing the concept of smart contracts, which are like self-executing agreements that run on the blockchain. This innovation opened the door for everything from decentralized finance, where you can lend and borrow without a bank, to NFTs, which represent ownership of unique digital items. Solana followed, offering much faster and cheaper transactions, trying to solve some of Ethereum's early growing pains. These platforms are the foundational layers upon which the new, decentralized internet is being built, piece by piece. These technologies represent a fundamental shift in power. They are built on the principles of openness and transparency. Anyone can see the code, anyone can build on the platform, and anyone can participate without asking for permission. It's a vision of a more democratic, fair, and user-centric internet. It's a world where creators get to keep more of their earnings, users have control over their personal information, and innovation can flourish without being stifled by gatekeepers. This is the powerful and inspiring dream that is driving the entire Web3 movement forward, promising a digital future built by the many, for the many. If Web3 is so amazing, why aren't our grandparents and neighbors all using it? The truth is, the road to this decentralized dream has been a bumpy one, full of significant challenges. The biggest hurdle is the high barrier to entry. Getting started in Web3 today feels like learning a new language. You need to understand concepts like crypto wallets, seed phrases, and gas fees. Setting up a wallet, securing your secret keys, and navigating decentralized applications is often a confusing and intimidating process for newcomers. It's far from the simple, one-click experience we are used to with Web2 apps. Another major issue has been scalability. Think of a popular blockchain like Ethereum as a single-lane highway. When too many people try to use it at once, it gets congested. This traffic jam leads to very slow transaction times and incredibly high gas fees, which are the costs for making any transaction on the network. At times, a simple action could cost you tens or even hundreds of dollars, making it impractical for small, everyday users. Imagine having to pay a $50 fee just to send a friend $5. This problem has made many Web3 applications exclusive to those who can afford the high costs. Furthermore, the user experience in the current Web3 world often feels clunky and complicated. The applications are not always as polished or intuitive as the apps we use daily on our phones. Simple tasks can require multiple steps and confirmations, creating a frustrating experience for the average user. This complexity not only scares people away, but also creates security risks. Many people have lost their funds due to simple mistakes, or by falling for sophisticated scams that exploit this confusion. For Web3 to truly go mainstream, it needs to feel as easy and safe as using the internet today. Finally, there's the environmental concern. Early blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum use a system called proof of work, which requires massive amounts of computational power, and therefore a huge amount of electricity to secure the network. This has led to valid criticisms about the environmental impact of the technology. While newer systems are moving to more energy-efficient methods, the negative perception remains a significant barrier to wider public acceptance. All these issues, complexity, cost, user experience, and environmental impact, are pieces of a puzzle that the industry must solve to unlock the true potential of Web3 for everyone. While other blockchain projects were focused on attracting developers and big investors, PINETWORK took a completely different road. Their strategy was radical in its simplicity, focus on the user first. They understood that the biggest challenge for Web3 was its complexity and exclusivity. So, they designed a system that could be accessed by anyone with a smartphone. This mobile-first approach was a game changer. Instead of requiring powerful computers for mining new coins, Pi introduced a mechanism that allows users to earn Pi simply by tapping a button on their app once a day. This action serves to prove they are a real, engaged human being. This process, often called mobile mining, is fundamentally different from the energy-intensive mining used by Bitcoin. Pi's system is based on something called the Stellar Consensus Protocol, which does not require massive energy consumption. It's a lightweight, eco-friendly approach. The daily check-in is not actually mining in the traditional sense. Rather, it's a way to distribute the new currency fairly among the active user base. This made participating in crypto accessible and free for the first time to millions of people who were previously excluded, turning the concept of earning digital currency from a technical challenge into a simple daily habit. The results of this strategy have been nothing short of staggering. While other networks struggled to attract users, PINETWORK experienced explosive growth, building a community of tens of millions of pioneers across the globe. They achieved this without a massive marketing budget, relying instead on a referral system that encouraged users to invite their friends and family. This created a powerful network effect, where the community grew organically and exponentially. Pi built its user base before its product was even fully finished, a reverse strategy that prioritized people over pure technology from day one. This starkly contrasts with the path of Ethereum or Solana, which first built complex technological platforms and then worked hard to attract users and developers to them. Pi bet that if you could gather one of the world's largest communities and give them a currency, an economy would naturally form around it. It's a social experiment on a massive scale. By removing the technical and financial barriers, Pi has created a potential user base for Web3 that is orders of magnitude larger than any other platform. They chose a path of accessibility and inclusivity, believing that the power of Web3 should be in everyone's hands, not just a few. The true test for PINETWORK is whether it can convert its massive user base into a thriving Web3 ecosystem. the potential is immense. Imagine a new, decentralized application being launched. Instead of starting from zero and spending millions on marketing, it could instantly tap into a network of tens of millions of KYC-verified users who already hold the native currency. This could dramatically lower the barrier to entry for developers and entrepreneurs, creating a fertile ground for innovation. Pi could become the ultimate onboarding ramp for Web3, bringing millions of people from the world of Web2 into the new decentralized era overnight. Let's consider some concrete examples. One of the most promising use cases is for microtransactions. On the current internet, sending tiny amounts of money is difficult and expensive due to processing fees. With Pi, you could imagine tipping a content creator a few cents worth of Pi for a great article or video, directly and instantly. This could revolutionize the creator economy. Similarly, in a game built on the Pi platform, you could buy a small digital item or power-up for a fraction of a Pi, creating seamless in-game economies without the need for traditional payment gateways like credit cards. Another powerful application is digital identity. Most pioneers have gone through a Know Your Customer process to prove they are real individuals. This creates a massive, human-verified network. A Pi-based digital identity could allow you to log into various websites and services securely without needing a different password for each one. It could also be used to prove you are a unique human online, helping to combat bots and fake accounts. This would give users control over their own identity data, deciding what to share and with whom, which is a core promise of the Web3 vision. Ultimately, Pi's strategy is to be the bridge that makes Web3 practical for everyday life. By providing a currency that is already in the hands of millions, they solve the cold start problem that plagues so many new platforms. A developer could build a decentralized social media app, a local marketplace, or a service for hire platform on Pi, and immediately have a massive, engaged audience ready to transact. If Pi successfully launches its open mainnet and fosters a vibrant developer community, it could be the catalyst that finally makes the read-write-own internet a reality for the average person. Of course, the journey for PINETWORK has not been without its share of skepticism and significant challenges. It's important to look at these issues with a clear and fair perspective. The most common criticism revolves around its enclosed mainnet. For years, pioneers have been accumulating Pi on their phones, but they cannot yet trade it on external exchanges or freely interact with other blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum. This has led many to question whether the Pi they have is real money or just points in an app. The long wait for the open mainnet has tested the patience of its community and fueled doubts about the project's ultimate viability. Technologically, Pi also faces a tough road ahead. While its consensus mechanism is energy efficient, its ability to handle a massive volume of complex smart contract transactions at scale is still largely unproven. The world of blockchain is fiercely competitive, with platforms like Solana, Avalanche, and a new generation of Layer 2 solutions for Ethereum constantly pushing the boundaries of speed and efficiency. Pi will need to demonstrate that its technology is not only accessible, but also robust and secure enough to compete with these established and well-funded players. The technical white paper provides a plan, but execution is everything in this fast-moving space. Furthermore, the project faces a mountain of regulatory uncertainty. As governments around the world grapple with how to regulate cryptocurrencies, a project with a user base as large as Pi's will inevitably attract intense scrutiny. Navigating the complex web of financial regulations in dozens of countries is a monumental task. Ensuring compliance with anti-money laundering and securities laws will be critical for its long-term survival and legitimacy. Any misstep in this area could pose a significant threat to the entire network and the value that its users have been patiently accumulating. Finally, even within its own ecosystem, success is not guaranteed. Building a vibrant economy requires more than just users and a currency. It needs compelling applications and services that people want to use. Pi will have to successfully incentivize developers to build on its platform and create a marketplace of goods and services that gives the Pi coin real-world utility. Without this, the risk is that Pi becomes a closed loop where people hold a currency with no real place to spend it. Overcoming these technical, regulatory, and ecosystem-building challenges is the true test that will determine if Pi becomes a footnote in crypto history or a revolutionary force. We stand at a fascinating crossroads in the story of the internet. On one side, we have the familiar, centralized world of Web 2, convenient but controlled by a few. On the other, we have the complex and often inaccessible dream of Web 3, a world of true digital ownership. The gap between these two worlds has seemed vast and difficult to cross. PINETWORK has positioned itself as a potential bridge, built not on complex technology for the few, but on a simple, accessible idea for the many. Its journey has been unconventional, its growth unprecedented, and its future remains unwritten. The grand vision is tantalizing. Imagine a future where your digital identity is yours to control, where you can seamlessly support creators you love with tiny payments, and where you are a part owner of the platforms you use every day. This is the world Web3 promises, and it's a world that Pi, with its millions of engaged pioneers, could help unlock for the global population. If it can successfully navigate its transition to an open network and foster a thriving ecosystem, it could trigger one of the largest migrations of users in the history of the internet, fundamentally changing the balance of power online. However, the path forward is filled with what-ifs. What if the technology cannot scale? What if regulators step in? What if the promised utility never materializes and the economy fails to ignite? These are the serious questions that cast a shadow over Pi's bright ambitions. The project is a bold gamble on a social-first approach to blockchain adoption. It's an experiment that tests whether a community can be built before the city is complete, hoping that the people themselves will provide the lifeblood and purpose for its existence once the gates are finally opened. In the end, whether PINETWORK becomes the game changer it aims to be is a story that is still unfolding. It could fizzle out as an ambitious but flawed experiment, or it could become the most important catalyst for the mass adoption of Web 3. What is certain is that it has changed the conversation. It has forced us to reconsider what is necessary to bring the power of blockchain to the masses. Pi has dared to imagine a different way, a more human-centered path to a decentralized future. And as we watch this story play out, we are all left to wonder, will this be the project that finally hands the keys to the digital kingdom back to us?